In the next few days, we'll be getting our hands on the new upcoming Warbond named Control Group. So far, the reaction has been seemingly a positive one, but we've been able to find out a few more details about a few little things. So we're going to be going over those very shortly. But did anybody notice the pull my finger emote? Here it is. It definitely is. The trailer was a lot of fun. I very much enjoyed the overarching self-awareness. It's definitely a pull my finger emote. I was very happy with the overarching self-awareness of it doesn't matter whether it's ready or not, or if it's dangerous or not. Let's give it to the Helldivers. The new weapons look great, new primary to look forward to, potential new quasar cannon replacement, maybe, all depending on stats here and there, but my god, that looks good. Another throwable that I was hoping would get something like that. Lift 182 Warp Pack. I need to know who the Blink 182 fan is at Arrowhead. It looks great. And then this bad boy shows up. Telling you now, if that pans out the way I hope it does, that could be a seriously overpowered weapon. And the Looney Tunes ending is always a nice touch. And when the Warbond does release, we, of course, find some extra items in the Superstore. Very good-looking AD-11 live wire. I guess that's a light armor, or at least it kind of looks like light armor. I do like the helmet. I also like the cape here, but primarily because you can see a part of the armor that I didn't notice immediately, which was the kind of little radar thing on the right-hand shoulder. I kind of like that. Little aesthetic things like that. The enthusiastic Murph emote, which I imagine is the one that we just saw for the Looney Tunes kind of thing. And we've got a nice-looking player card, the Schemer Laid Bare. I like the color scheme of this and the kind of the digital, not quite digital, I guess, but like circuit board looking theme. What I do like is the color scheme, though, with the live wire armor set. The blue on the sand trim goes really well, and also the dark gray and orange wiring on the chest looks beautiful as well. That's something I would wear just purely because of how good it looks. And of course, not forgetting that it's available on July 17th, not long now. So the first item that I want to talk about is the new primary weapon that we're getting, the VG-70 variable. It's a 7-barreled volley gun. It has 3 different fire rate options, full auto with 3 different RPMs in itself, a volley mode that shoots a bullet from each barrel at a semi-automatic rate, and a total where it fires all remaining ammo in one shot. Someone's pointed out that here you can see an arrow indicating that possibly the gun snaps down and you place a barrel inside it and then load it back up. What we also have here looks like some sort of super sample, but what I think it is a small control panel of buttons where the diver would actually be changing the firing modes from that little panel there. Also on Fig-Fillet's video, he was provided some actual renders of these items that we receive in the Warbond. I'll link his channel in the description down below. Fantastic Helldivers content creator and streamer in itself. But this here is a small warning sign that says or tells you not to consume the drugs that are inside the gun. Not quite sure what that is being influenced by. Maybe the DeLorean car that they were smuggling cocaine in, maybe. This is going to get me demonetized immediately. So I was doing some research on the mean streets of Reddit, and I stumbled across this thread here that was talking about the variable. But most importantly, I came across this comment that Storm Megaton has with, taking in like to account the video that we're seeing, we can see bullets bouncing off of the Devastator's armor. Storm Megaton makes a very good point in this comment, and it reads as follows. I thought as much. There's no way this gun would ever be AP-free, just by the volume of rounds we can shoot out at once. At the absolute worst damage per round for assault rifles, being 50, the total mode would fire all 49 rounds out of 7 barrels at once, dealing 2,450 damage immediately. That's 1,200 damage more than one commando rocket, which is 1,250 total damage. If this was AP-free, you could easily pretty much kill any medium armor enemy in the game with one shot. That includes factory striders with broken sides, front, or rear armors, which is AP-free with 1,200 health each. And this is with only 50 damage per round. The standard AR bullet damage is 80, which would bring total mode damage up to almost 4,000 damage. Even with low damage rounds, this thing on total mode is impressive to say the least. So we've taken the statistics that Storm Megaton exampled in his small analysis there. This thing should be devastating. And I know it sounds devastating already, but if we took into account the numbers that Storm Megaton was actually using, there's no way they could let this gun be like that. It's way too powerful. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to using this gun and ragdolling myself in various ways. Next up, we have the PLAS-45 Epoch, which seems to be our first answer to a plasma support weapon. As we can see, it's a charged weapon that takes out a spewer pretty easily, but also has a mechanic much like the railgun that you can take it to an unsafe temperature, to which then it would deal, I guess, even more damage, but also would end up causing yourself to become spaghetti. The developers here tell us that the Epoch is a support weapon which charges plasma into a focused sphere, which is then fired. The weapon is ready for battlefield use, but additional research data suggests that it can explode if overcharged. There is no safe mode available, but we're sure you can handle it, Helldiver. This is what field testing is all about. So I do very much enjoy using the Quasar Cannon, as it always gets the job done, and it is a very, very powerful charge-up weapon. However, all depending on a few things, this could really change that. However, it really depends on the charge time and the ammo economy as to whether I'm going to see this as a immediate replacement for the Quasar Cannon. It may well kill the spewer in one hit, but what we see here as well is when it takes out that charger, we don't necessarily know how damaged that charger already was. You can see that there is some damage to either the front part of the charger or its leg, and if you skip a few frames, you can see it a little bit clearer there. Then the shot comes off. It doesn't look like the front leg is damaged. It looks like the front face is slightly damaged. It hits it into the side. It shatters the armor, killing it seemingly in one hit. We can't quite be sure as to how damaged the charger was before that shot. All depending on ammo economy, recharge time. This could replace the Quasar Cannon for me. New throwable looks nice. Looks like it does quite some damage, but most importantly, the Lift 182 Warp Pack. Big fan of the Blink 182 reference there. This looks to be a fun little support stratagem, but we do learn a few things about it. You can destabilize it from overuse. And over on the X page, we again learn some details. Perhaps the most significant and exciting development from the Ministry of Defense is the new Lift 182 Warp Pack stratagem. R&D has harnessed the power of dark fluid to generate a somewhat stable wormhole on demand. Once the wormhole is active, wearers can teleport short distances with no cooldown between jumps. In practice, the wearer is pulled into singularity, dematerialized and rematerialized again in a new location. The head of R&D noted that the dematerialization process can somewhat be painful, and that users should bear in mind that the wormhole cannot maintain integrity for extended periods. Each jump will further destabilize it, and the wearer may experience death should the singularity fully collapse. A small price to pay for ultra-convenient traversal. Now, where it mentions too that the process can be somewhat painful makes me think that each time you use a warp drive and dematerialize and rematerialize yourself, do you take a small, tiny amount of damage? Because that's what I would expect from language being used like that when explaining it. What I also noticed in the trailer as well is if you freeze frame on a particular position, you can see that the diver is on fire, and also that the singularity itself has turned to a neon pink, red, I don't know, kind of letting you know that it's not in a good position. I don't know if we can assume that if you continue to destabilize the backpack that you do in fact catch fire, but after the last teleportation, you can see there is nothing left. We also see in this freeze frame that it looks like the warp drive itself is beginning to destabilize. It's showing the red aura around it, but we do not see the diver on fire. Skip a few frames, and we see him still alive ever so slightly, along with the warp drive in its neon little pink color, but that doesn't last very long. We also got some confirmation with this from Alexis, the bringer of balance. The first jump is safe. The next one has minor complications. The third one has major complications. You can wait between jumps to let it cool down. It's important to note that it's not a traversal tool. We do not want you to travel big distances with it or keep jumping every few seconds. This person asks from the Helldivers 2 Discord, what's the intended kind of gameplay with the warp pack? Is it like close range Dark Souls-ish kind of thing, or more of a tactical repositioning thing like jump pack? Oh man, this feels like such an innocent question that even telling them the answer feels awful, or that you're ripping their reality away from them. Teleports behind you, nothing personal, kids. Explodes into singularity. If you don't understand that reference, just wait till you use it, or someone uses it on you. And so my favorite of the Warbond so far, the ALAS-98 Laser Sentry. This thing could be absolutely devastating. I feel like it's about time we got ourselves a scythe-mounted Laser Sentry. I imagine what we see here is the heatsink regulation of the laser turret itself, because what we do know is that if it overheats, it explodes and causes area damage around it, whether that's explosive or if it's fire damage. We don't know. I'd like to assume that it's fire damage. If so, fantastic. At least you get some sort of comeuppance to the enemy whenever they destroy one of your sentries, because it's a bit annoying when that happens. You throw one down, charger comes out of nowhere, decimates your rocket sentry. Not even an explosion, to just cause some damage. And so depending on its recharge rate, its fire rate in general, this could turn into an absolute killer. Now, we all know how fire damage works in the game. I talk about this every time we're talking about lasers, but with the fact that this thing can essentially infinitely fire ammo, all according it doesn't overheat, this could be an absolute nightmare across the entire map. You could place a few of these in varying places along your journey as a solo dive in like level 10. And just, I don't know, with just a little bit of luck, and again, depending on its recharge rate and stuff and its fire rate capacity, it could be just a permanent fixture on the map, just always like keeping an eye out for enemies and taking them out. If used correctly, these could be absolutely amazing. For this sentry, the ammunition canisters on standard turrets have been replaced with super-sized heatsink, allowing the potential for infinite laser firing. However, R&D would like to remind users that the turret can overheat and explode if the laser is continuously active with no cooldown. So we've got super-sized heatsink, we've got infinite laser firing capability, and we've also got some area damage when the device either becomes overheated and explodes, or an enemy potentially takes it out. As most people are aware on the channel, I'm a sucker for a laser loadout, so to be able to complete everything with regards to primary, secondary, support, and now sentry laser, I'm going to have so much fun with this. But of course, it always comes down to the ammo economy side of things, at least with regards to like recharge, its fire rate in general, how long it lasts. And so my closing thoughts on the ALAS-98 Laser Sentry: absolute George W. Love it. Last but not least, let's look at the heavy and medium armor in the AD-49 APOLLONIAN and the AD-26 Bleeding Edge. The official information of this armor set is read as follows. Both armor sets feature a new and exciting passive, Adreno Defibrillator. After you take lethal damage and the Adreno Defibrillator detects that the user has collapsed, it activates and revives the user to full health. R&D did indicate that the Adreno Defibrillator only has enough charge for one use to bring the user back to maximum health, and the user will begin losing health continually after activating it. The Adreno Defibrillator perks are as follows also. It zaps you back to life, pumps you full of stims, given that you didn't lose a limb, and your health will unfortunately keep draining forever. It'll also increase stim duration for 2 seconds, and you get 50% resistance to arc damage. Here's a nice little piece of insight into the thought process behind the passive within this armor. The point of the new armor is to let go with a bang, not give you a second chance in life. Activate a Hellbomb backpack, call in a 500 kg on yourself, and take the biggest... Now, initially with this video, I was going into this section of it being a bit sort of negative towards the armor perk, because I don't like the idea of being brought back to life, but only having a limited amount of time to do something. If I was to choose a passive on an armor, I'd want it to be benefiting me throughout my entire journey instead of single situations like this. But reading this, the way Alexis has put it this way, oh, it's pretty good. I just like my explosions. And this sounds like a very good armor passive to use if you like things that go bang. And so I wouldn't necessarily say that the armor passive is my favorite at all, because it definitely isn't. But this armor is absolutely beautiful. These feel very unique. And as a whole, this Warbond in itself seems... We've got some decent variety, you know. We've got a new primary. We've got a new support weapon. We've got 2 new toys in a Sentry as well. We've got a new arc grenade. It's a fully fleshed out Warbond, more so than what we had with the last one. I disliked the last one so much, I can't even remember the... It's the RoboCop and Judge Dredd one. I can't even remember the official name of it because I really disliked it that much. But this looks good. This looks very good. And I like the humor behind the fact of using the 182 warp pack. Just, you're gonna die. All in all, I'm glad that I got round to making this video and looking at this Warbond with a new perspective and a few new extra details than what we learned initially when all the other Helldivers creators released their videos like several hours after the news dropped, whereas this is now like old news. But if you're still watching this, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I like to try and get these things out as soon as I can, but because I'm not a full-time YouTuber, I have to wait sometimes days to be able to do things like this. But I hope you've enjoyed what you've been seeing. If you've got any insights yourself, please leave them in the comment section down below. I will leave as much information in the description down below. But if you enjoyed your time here, give us a like, you know, give us a comment, maybe even subscribe. But until next time, I guess, see you later. Bye.